Okay, we are live and there we go. Welcome. This is my Tiny But Mighty Coaching YouTube channel. And these are just tiny chats that I'm going to start having with people that I find really interesting to talk to. And for those of you that don't know me, I am a business coach with Tiny But Mighty Coaching. I work with small and solo business owners who want to become more organized with their systems so that they can have more growth and consistency in their business. Jennifer, tell everybody who you are, and you can tell them how we met.
Absolutely. I'm Jennifer Dukeshire. I am a health and wellness coach. I am a regional vice president with Arbonne International, and I met Rina through BNI, which is a business networking organization. And during COVID, I was looking to meet some people, and I reached out just randomly, and we met. I believe that's how we met, and we just
Yes.
connected right away. Just loved talking to Rina. She's a wealth of knowledge. I loved what she had to say. I loved her excitement and her passion. And so we've just stayed connected and had all these great tiny chats often. And so she thought it was time to kind of share one of those with you guys.
Yeah, and I love that we do not live anywhere near each other.
Mm-mm.
Which
Nope.
is the beauty of networking. And people will say networking can be a waste of time, but networking can also be the gateway to an unlimited amount of connections, which is why I love how we met. And most of the people that I know are actually met networking. And so
Absolutely.
Jennifer and I were talking today because the way these conversations start is they do start offline. And we were just discussing the way people ebb and flow in your life and what that says about who you are, what it tells other people about you, and how, and just in life in general, like people come and go. And not only does it represent where you are in your life, but it also represents who you're becoming in your life. And you were sharing, I love what you were saying about what you heard this morning about the sermon, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. I was listening to a sermon this morning, and I have a daughter who just moved many states away from me for college. And she's been dealing with a lot of peer pressure, which is what I was telling Rena, a lot of peer pressure to do things that she doesn't want to do. And the pastor had said, so many of you are moving into college right now and wondering, oh my gosh, is this my place? Is this where I'm supposed to be? And you're worried about it and questioning it. And he's like, don't worry about where you are, just find your people. And that was the message I gave to my daughter today was they're just not your people. And you have to keep looking and finding your people. And which Rena and I then, realized, and I told my daughter that this morning, and I said, I would love to tell you that that's just a thing you have to deal with in college. But it's not, it's a thing you deal with your whole life, from elementary school to middle school to high school to college to adulthood. Sometimes your people end up having to be moved out of your inner circle because they're just not your people anymore.
No, and it never gets easy. I was sharing with you, like some of my closest friends, I still have love and admiration for them, but you just, like I shared, I don't want to be associated with certain people. I don't want that to be a reflection of who I am, not only as a personal person, but also in business. The type of business people. Am I hanging out with the flaky people, or am I hanging out with the people that do the follow-ups that I could feel comfortable referring to? And when it comes to your friends, we've all had those, especially us women have had, that friend that's that girl at the end of the night, and how long is that okay? How long do we allow that behavior to be that behavior? Or do we turn in from, the girls that go out at night to the ladies at lunch? Like,
Right. I think sometimes we stay in those relationships longer than we should because we go through that whole mental process of, well, I don't feel like I'm better than them. I don't feel like I don't want to be mean to them. I don't, all the emotions of worrying about, hurting someone's feelings. Or the thing is when people kind of flow out of that inner circle, they don't even really know it. They probably don't even really realize it. And it doesn't have to be a hard knocks typically, unless of course it's super toxic. It doesn't need to be like, okay, Rena, we are not friends anymore. It's just you start spending less time with them because what I've seen happen in my life is almost like being on a ladder. Like, okay, you said those go-getters, those people who are really going after life and really taking the things they're learning and applying them in their life. And we're stepping up the ladder, but then I feel like if I stay in that group, I'm always coming back down that ladder and be like, come on guys, let's go the next rung. And then I have to step back and I have to try to drag these people, and it gets exhausting. And it's not fulfilling, and it's not helping me be who I'm designed to be in life. And so it's not a matter of thinking I'm better than anybody. It's not a matter of, you know, being mean or cruel. It's a matter of, this just doesn't fit anymore. It doesn't fit for me to spend a majority of my time with that someone doesn't reflect who I want to be.
Yes, and I learned that in the manner of when I switched careers, when I've always been somebody that I just like to work. I like making money. But when it became that place where you start to have to tell people like, I'm so sorry, I don't have time, and they don't understand. You're always working, can't you take time off? Of course I can take time off. However, that sets me back. It sets me back from achieving what I'm trying to achieve. Like, I'm on a timeline, and wanting to be around people that are like, totally get it, go get it, and then let's make a plan for a week out. Like, those are, you graduate into that. And there's a growing pain that happens when you're realizing that, when you're just like, God, I feel like such a jerk, I'm always saying no to them. And then you hit that moment where you're like, okay, I'm going to compromise, I'm going to put that off, I'm going to go spend time with them. And then I was running into the whole beating myself up, like, "Ah, I should have done that, and then why did I put that time aside?" And that's where you're like, that growth, that you don't realize that that pain that you're feeling internally, that you're mentally having that struggle, is that growing pain of, you can choose to stay with the different mentality of like, no, 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 like, rage on the weekend, and then put Monday through Friday week warrior. I was like, I don't want to be that person. I want that balance, but that balance comes with the type of balanced person that also understands that lifestyle. And as you're growing, like you said, with your daughter moving from high school to college, like, there's a different lifestyle, there's a different mentality, and everybody goes their different ways. And I think we hit those, you said, like the rungs. Every year, every phase of life is a different rung.
Yes, absolutely a different rung. And to feel like you're saying, sometimes you feel bad, and then when that person wants to hang out again, you're like, oh yeah, okay, this is going to be different, it's going to be great. And you hang out with the person, you're like, this is the same conversation we had the last time we hung out. Like, it wasn't anything new or exciting. And much like you, like, working, I love working. Working to me is fun. I absolutely love what I do. And
Me too.
so, everyone's like, oh, you need to create the life that you don't need a vacation from. That's what my business feels like to me. Like, I can take it wherever I go, and I want to, because I'm so passionate about it. I want to be doing it. It doesn't feel like work to me. And so you're absolutely right. Finding the people who get that. And the thing that happens is there's fewer and fewer people as you grow, as you learn, as you challenge yourself, as you set higher goals, you set higher aspirations. That extra mile, I mean, people say go the extra mile, it's less crowded. It's absolutely true. And sometimes it's lonely. It's
Yeah, that whole, it's lonely at the top. The reason why is because it goes with that other, what is the other one? If success was easy, everybody would be successful.
yeah,
Because it is work, and there's those certain clusters of people that find joy in that work. Like, when you find what you love, do you like, I love working. I was telling someone yesterday, I was like, it doesn't feel like work. I don't mind putting in a 10-hour day if it doesn't feel like a 10-hour day. If I'm like, oh, my alarm's going off because I had to set it to remind me that I need to stop working at a certain hour, because I'll keep going because I just like it. It's when you can find the people that find the same type of joy and the same things you find, that's awesome. But when you turn around and you realize that means that you can't come with me because you don't understand it and you don't like it. So we'll have coffee together.
I,
And
yeah. Yeah, it gets hard because you want everyone to feel that level of joy and passion and success. And my hardest part, I think, is because I believe in everybody, and I have a big vision for everybody. Unfortunately, my vision can't carry that person, right? They have to put in the work, they have to put in the time, and they have to want that. And so it gets really hard to and frustrating for me, like, well, why won't you do this? Why won't you, you know, read this book? Why won't you listen to this podcast? Let's have this conversation. And people are like, you are a lot to take.
I love that you said, why won't you have this conversation? Because it's like, wait, you don't want to talk about that? Like we just talked about what you wanted to talk about for like 20 minutes. Like, again, there's nothing else we can say about that, but no, don't want to have a conversation about. So I love the conversations that take you down that rabbit hole with somebody, that where they're like, yes, and then what about this, and then what about when that happens? And so when you outgrow those people that don't want to be in the rabbit hole with you, it's sad and it's challenging, but you can't, like you were saying, like you just keep having to come back down. And I tell people, I'm like, when you find that you're shrinking to hang out with people and you're lowering your vibration to be make them feel comfortable, to accommodate where they're at, it's usually the sign that it's time for you to walk. It's okay to close that chapter. It's just so hard to do. But I heard somebody say, I think it's Les Brown that says it, when you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room.
And so I was just going to say that, Rita, like, I love to be with people who are smarter than me. I love being around people who are smart. I love learning from them. Like, I will ask them 100 questions. Like, I feel like if they know something I don't know, I want to understand and I want to ask questions. And I love being the cheerleader for people who are smarter and more successful. And I was telling my daughter the other day, I have a friend whose daughter is she's so amazingly talented. She's brilliant. She's like a genius. Plus, she can play all these instruments and speak all these languages. And she just moved into school and she just got this great position in the band. And I said, and I'm not surprised at all. I'm like, she's so amazing. And I want to applaud her. I mean, that's the people you want to be around, the people who are like, yes, Rina, that's amazing. You're so amazing. Keep going. Not the people who are trying to pull you back down to make themselves feel better about the fact that they don't want to do things to make themselves better.
Yeah, the do it tomorrow. Come on, let's just go. It's so nice out. Or, like, it's okay. Like, you can finish that last hour of work later. And you're just like, but you don't understand. Because all I'm going to be thinking about while you're telling me that same story 5 times is what I could be doing with my time. And you don't want to get to that place with people. It's better to recognize it before you get there, because you want to leave on a high note, not on a like, I can't do that again with you.
Well, not because you don't like to have fun. I love to have fun.
I love fun. Time and place.
I love to have fun, but not at the expense of giving up on dreams or goals, or being able to delay that gratification. And so I have a ton of fun. I love doing all sorts of different things. I love traveling. I love doing all sorts of things.
And you do have a lot of fun. I see you.
Absolutely. But I too, like, when you're talking about shrinking, I have found myself over and over again in life, like, shrinking who I am, because I'm like, well, I'm too much for people. Like, people don't understand, and I scare them away because I have big vision. And I'm a Midwesterner, but I feel like I should be born on the East Coast because I want to tell people the truth. Like, I don't want to play this passive aggressiveness. I want to be like, no, it didn't work because you're not working, because you're lazy. This conversation.
You can come to the West Coast. We do that over here too.
Just have the conversation and just accept responsibility for the choices you've made. And if you don't like the results, I tell my kids this all the time, every choice has a price or a benefit. And if you don't like the price you're paying, then make a different choice.
And that's that moment. Like, I love that you brought that up, because that's the thing. When people tell me, like, I don't have a choice, you do have a choice. You don't like the choices that you have, but it doesn't matter if you make the misstep, if you make the choice that you didn't necessarily like, there's a lesson there if you choose to see it. If you choose, like, people are like, well, I just don't want to make the decision. Well, an indecision is a decision too. So, but it is all about choice. We get to choose if we are content staying where we are, or if we want to move in a different direction. And people forget that we have that choice and that it is okay to say, like, no, I don't, I just don't want to. Why not? Because I don't want to. I don't have to justify why I don't want to, just like you don't have to justify why you don't want to. But trying to make me do something that I don't want to because it makes you happier to make me smaller doesn't work either. And being able to recognize that that is you growing and having the strength to walk away is just not always easy.
Yeah, that initial pain of knowing that that relationship is fizzling a little will be overshadowed by the joy you feel by finding your people and the people who lift you up and the people who are helping you be that person. Like you said, with the choices, a trainer I listened to one time, he's like, everything is a choice. You're like, no, you don't understand. I have to work this job. You don't have to. You choose to show up for work every day. You don't have to. I mean, there's going to be a consequence for that choice, but you can choose to do something different. You choose to show up. So don't be angry at your boss or your coworkers or your this or your that. Like, you choose to go to work. You choose your attitude. You choose these things. And we don't want to take it as a choice because we don't want to take responsibility for
Yes,
those things.
because you hear, but then I won't have this and I won't have that. Says who? Who says that because you choose not to go to work that day, you can't choose to go find the position that brings you more joy. You don't want to because it's easier not to. But is it easier to sit here and complain? Like what feels better? And that's the reality that people don't like. People don't like hearing the truth behind their choices sometimes.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, like I used to be one of those people that was a lot more concerned with people not wanting to hear the truth. And perhaps that's why my circle's gotten a little smaller, but I don't mind because when you when you are in a place to be able to call it out for what it is, no, you are choosing that. Now you have a choice. Do you stand in a place of power or do you stand in a place of giving up your power? And that's what the power of choice gives us. Whether we like it and we're willing to struggle a little bit because we make a choice that's uncomfortable, I mean, you're choosing to grow. So every choice has a different consequence. And oftentimes, if you look at it the right way, you can see the silver lining.
Absolutely. And some people would say if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing.
I,
You know,
I'm one of those people. I agree with that statement.
yeah, absolutely. Because if it's comfortable, you're in the same place. It's familiar. It's easier. Being uncomfortable, everyone wants to, fly away from that fight or flight, right? Like, this feels weird and uncomfortable, but that means you're going to learn something. You're going to
And,
grow in some way.
and the thing with running away from discomfort is eventually it catches up with you. That whole like that which we resist persists. It will find a way to come back. So for all of those of you out there that have ever said, why do I keep dating? Like I still haven't found the right person. Have you learned from the what you didn't like about all the other people that you were dating to change it and not date that same person?
Right. Take a self-examination of, okay, why am I attracting this type of people? I mean, that works in anything. That works with even with my team. Like I've had to work with my coach to find out, okay, why do I keep attracting this type of person? Because it doesn't feel like it's my people all the time. And it's because I'm shrinking myself because I don't want to scare people off. I don't want to be honest about the level of work it's going to take to be successful. And so I tone it down to make it more comfortable with people. But then realizing when I'm doing that, I'm sabotaging their success.
Yeah, you're
Because if I
lowering the bar of where they need.
absolutely,
Yeah. And I have found that myself with even with clients. I had somebody, I was on a consultation call and they said, "Can you guarantee my results?" And I said, "Can you guarantee to me that you're going to do the work? If you do the work, you will have the results. If you can't guarantee you're going to do the work because, you might be gun ho today, give me 3 weeks and then it might get challenging and you might decide you don't want to, well then I can't guarantee anything." And that's the thing, it's like I can guarantee as much as you're willing to give me.
absolutely.
If you try, you will get results. If you're willing to just get up every day and take 2 steps, we're going to get you there.
Yep. Go find those people that are going to cheer you on in that process.
Yes, exactly. And I think this is a good place to end because that was a good note. Jennifer, thanks for being courageous with me and just letting me hit go live. And for anyone that's watching, thanks for watching. I will put both of our informations in the description below. So if you'd like to have a chat with us or connect with us, you will have access to us. But thanks for joining us on our tiny chat today.
Thanks, Rena.
You're welcome. How do I stop this? Well then, I don't know how to stop. I think like this.
There must be a recording button.
I got two recording buttons. So I had to go to YouTube